Dick Durbin isn't just asking a question for the record. He's testing something deeper about the nominee's willingness to state a widely accepted fact in plain language. And the fact he chooses is not random. The outcome of the 2020 election, involving Donald Trump and Joe Biden, has become a kind of litmus test in American political life.
Mr. Smith, welcome. Congratulations on the nomination and congratulations on your family. Beautiful family that you have brought with you today is your support. So if our questions get tough on this side of the table, you've got reinforcements ready to spring into action, I'm sure. So let me ask a basic question. Will you acknowledge that President Trump lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden?
I acknowledge, as Chairman Grasso was talking about in his opening remarks, that under Article 2 in the 12th Amendment, that the Electoral College cast their votes in December of 2020. In January of 2021, Congress met to open and count those votes. And as a result of that process, Congress certified Joe Biden as the president.
Who won the popular vote in the 2020 presidential election?
The popular vote is not something that's mentioned in the Constitution. And
I'm asking you, it's a basic question. If you took an 8th grader from Kansas and Missouri and Iowa and Illinois and said, who won the popular vote in the 2020 election, and they submitted an explanation of the Electoral College, you couldn't give them a passing grade. So let me just ask you, as an American citizen who I'm sure voted in that election, who won the popular vote in the 2020 election?
As an American citizen and someone who, as Senator Schmidt said, cares about precision, I want to be very clear that, as a lawyer looking at the Constitution, it's the Electoral College that matters. And that process played forth in December of 2020 and January of 2021.
At the end of this exercise, at some point, there is going to be a video, I'm sure, that will be released, which will watch the painful explanation by every nominee from the Trump White House for the federal bench as to why they couldn't answer the basic question every single person in this room knows is true. Donald Trump lost the election in 2020 to Joe Biden. He may have regretted it, he may have denied it, but it's a fact. And the reason why we continue to engage in these political gymnastics is a question about whether or not you can ever say no to Donald Trump when it comes to any future service. And that is a basic concern. Another concern I have, you're very active in political organizations. In 2023, you served as treasurer for a political committee in the Club for Growth Action, Missouri. You also you owned a company called Pervinco, which did $15,000 in general consulting with the Club for Growth. According to your questionnaire, you're currently a board member of the Yorktown Fund and First Principles Action, both of which are right-wing organizations with connections to Leonard Leo. Based on public records, 3 groups involved in political polling and consulting are registered at your address: Remington Research Group, Madison McQueen, and Armada Strategies. By my count, that 7 different organizations that you've had some affiliation with all have one thing in common. They are right-wing organizations. What we ask nominees, even when Democrats are seeking positions like this, is there a ghost of a chance, if you became the circuit judge, that you would have any objectivity when it comes to political questions? And what has been found in the past in this committee is that if somebody engaged in, quote, socialist poetry in high school, they're disqualified. So now we have you with at least 7 right-wing organizations where you had some affiliation or leadership. Is there any ghost of a chance that you could be objective in the future?
Ranking Member Durbin, I would be fair and impartial in any case that came before me. And let me explain why. But first, let me just correct some of the information in your question. Respectfully, the 3 of those organizations that you mentioned, I have no affiliation with. I know that there are some committee staff that had some questions. There was a clerical error filed in one report that listed my home address for 3 of those organizations. If you were to look at the State Ethics Committee, those are organizations that are based in different parts of the country: Florida, Kansas City, and California. And they've been reported at those addresses dozens of times in many different states and to the FEC. It was a simple mistake on a report that I did not review. So I want to be clear that I have no affiliation with any of those groups.
We will correct the record.
As to the other organizations that you mentioned, one thing about me is I've been very grateful for opportunities to engage in our political process throughout the course of my life. It's something my dad and I did growing up because it was something fun as a father and son to go out and get to meet some of our elected officials. During college and law school and through my professional career, I've been able to be great friends with a whole bunch of people that don't share the same views as me. You have letters before you from people who are many different political parties who are strongly supporting me because they know the type of person that I am. Some of the letters, I think there's one from the dean of the University of Missouri Law School. He even notes in the letter that he and I don't agree on everything, but he still strongly supported me because of the character and the type of person that I am. And in every case that I've been involved in, some of which do have some political issues, I've depended on judges to set aside their personal views and treat my case fairly and impartially, to apply the law and the facts to the case that I've brought before them, and to do so without regard to partisan affiliation. And that's the type of judge that I would strive to be, to set aside those personal views and to apply the law and the facts, because that would be my role as a judge, not as a partisan or as an advocate, but as a judge, where any personal views I have would no longer be relevant.
Notice how the nominee responds. Instead of giving a direct answer, he pivots to process, talking about the Electoral College, constitutional mechanisms, and certification. Everything he says is technically accurate, but it avoids the core of the question. This is a classic example of what lawyers often do when navigating politically sensitive terrain: answer precisely, but not directly. It's not about ignorance of the answer, it's about the consequences of saying it plainly.